graduation tonight, which is very important. I'm at my grandson's tomorrow night, so it's something just we have to do. So I'll call the meeting to order. The first thing we have is the land acknowledgement statement, and I'll ask Councillor Pape to read it, please.
Sure thing. So Augusta Township acknowledges that we live and work on ancestral territories of Indigenous people. The township recognizes all Indigenous peoples and honors their past, present, and future. The township values and respects their cultural heritages and relationship to the land.
Thank you. So just to go on my opening remarks, I got a few things here. I want to thank council for the last meeting we had and the purchase of the land right west of Prescott. My shaky hand signed the bank loan this morning. So now that we've done that, we've got to look at getting revenue, not from the taxpayers, of course, but from the other means. So anyway, that's going to be the push for the next little while. But anyway, I just want to thank you for your support, and I don't think we can go wrong with this deal. So thank you. I was at the ceremony, quick ceremony, a week and a half ago for Mapleview Lodge out in Athens. Of course, I think a lot of people know they're building a new facility for 190 beds, long-term care. Basically the committee raised, their goal is to raise $3 million. Now this is a committee that the counties has already budgeted the amount of money for Mapleview Lodge, but they have a committee set up that there's always something extra that falls into place that someone's forgot or the lodge needs. So anyway, the goal is $3 million. They're at the $2 million mark. And of course, anybody that's fundraising, it's always hard to get the last little bit, the last million. So anyway, they're doing good and everybody's optimistic. I attended Port Day in Johnstown. Myself, Councillor Henry there, our treasurer was there, and I don't believe anybody else attended. I think they had they gave out 900 hot dogs and hamburgers, so they didn't know the exact attendance. The weather held off, but it was a good day. I'd say if you didn't make it this year, they're planning to have one next year, so everything's free. Just go there and you'll learn some things about the port, and they had all sorts of things for kids. Now, at South Grenville Food Bank, I ran into Bonnie, who looks after the South Grenville Food Bank, and she was jumping with joy. And I couldn't figure out what, she came up to me and said, "What's wrong?" She said, "Nothing wrong, I'm happy." She says, "I just want to give you news that we're going to be opening a food bank in Maitland and one at the Augusta Library." And I said, "Great." So they expect to have a grand opening in November, pretty well when we do our food drive in the Maitland area, but we'll do the grand opening then. And then she mentioned to me, "Aren't you excited about the planes coming to Augusta?" And I gave that dumb look. And I'm giving you that dumb look. Do I know anything about that? Planes. I said, "Planes." She said, "Yes." So anyway, maybe she was more happy than I thought. So I'll have to catch her next time. And I think that's about all I have. I just want to wish our deputy mayor, he's taking off to Newfoundland at the end of the week, and he's coming back, I think the second week in August. So safe drive, and remember us when you're on the rock. Okay, so. Okay, so next we have the approval of the agenda, moved by Councillor Pape, seconded by Deputy Mayor Winans. Be it resolved the agenda for June 24, 2024 be adopted. Members, do I have any changes, additions on the agenda? I see none. I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next, we have moved by Deputy Mayor Winans, seconded by Councillor Pape. Be resolved that council approve the minutes of the June 10th, 2024 and June 18th, 2024 council meetings as distributed to all members. Does anybody have any Any corrections or anything else in the minutes we went through? See nothing, I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried. Okay, next is disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof. Does anybody have anything to report? See no hands. Any business arising from the minutes? We have no delegations or petitions tonight. Sorry, delegations or presentations tonight. Next, correspondence and petitions. So we have a health letter, reference the rabies clinic for 2024. I think it was September 11th, if I read it correctly, and that's at our Public Works garage. I'm glad to see it's kind of come back. We missed it last year. So there's nothing I have to sign on that. It's just resolution. Does anybody have any? I'll read the resolution first. Moved by Councillor Pape, seconded by Deputy Mayor Winans. Be it resolved that council received their correspondence from the health unit regarding the annual rabies vaccination clinic, and that council supports the clinic through the use of Public Works garage on September 11th, 2024, from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock p.m. and provide 2 volunteers for administrative assistance. Is there any questions, comments? I'll gladly volunteer for that evening. So, I think usually Councillor Henry does too, so I don't think there'd be a problem. Okay. I'll call a question. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay, next we have municipality calendar resolution, reference resume assessment schedule. Moved by Deputy Mayor Winans, seconded by Councillor Pape. Be it resolved, the Corporation of Township of Augusta supports resolution number 2024/05/184 received from the municipality of Callander, which calls on the Prairie Dog Board to promptly resume the assessment cycle to ensure the stability and predictability of assessment and taxation system, or responds to with an alternative method for every municipality in Ontario to achieve fair taxation. And this resolution will be forwarded to Premier Ford, MMAH, AMO, AMCTO, and MPAC. Any comments? I think we all know that, especially like townships like ours, if we cannot tax, what the property is worth, it's horrible. So every township is having the same problem. So anyway, I'm glad they support this. Call the question. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. The last assessment is 2016. Next, we have letters of support for communal decentralized water and wastewater solutions. Moved by Councillor Pape, seconded by Deputy Mayor Winans. Be it resolved that council authorize the mayor to sign the letter of support regarding communal decentralized water and wastewater solutions. I think we kind of read through that. Does anybody have any questions, comments? See none? Call the question. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay, next we have reports. And I'll start off with the counties. We had a counties council last Thursday. We recognized 3 retired people. One lady, forgive me, I forgot her name, but she had something like 46 years in. And of course, another gentleman who had, I think, 20-some years in. And a special friend of mine, Jeff McVeigh. Jeff's been the forest manager of Limerick Forest for, God, I think the last 15 to 20 years. Excellent, he's done an excellent job, and he finally retired. So he's retiring at the end of this week, in fact. So anyway, they've all done a long service, and the counties acknowledged them and sent them off in a good way. So. Next, we have our bus tour. We remember I told you all the mayors went on a bus tour for the county of Grenville. A month ago, we did County of Leeds today. And it was mostly looking at the roads. As we know, each mayor has a contingent and bad roads in every one of their municipalities. So there were some pretty bumpy rides, I tell you, county roads. So anyway, and the mayors certainly pointed out in their jurisdictions which ones were bad. So we also looked at assets as far as low-income housing and stuff like that, what the county owns, just to give everybody a perspective. So again, when we had ours in Grenville last month, I pointed out County Road 2 and the condition of that is, but again, I'm just one mayor. There's 10 of us that have problems, and only so much money. So anyway, we'll keep fighting for the cause. And that's about it. We'll go on to committee reports. So South Nation and Rideau Valley conservation areas. Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, myself and planner Melissa Bradford, we went to an information session that Rideau Valley put on in Perth, and it was all about what Rideau Valley does, but then a lot of the session was about the new wetland mapping, and they explained that, and they explained that the province has given them a 2-month timeline to get this all done, and they're going to have public consultations, and they are quite, and Carl was there, the CEO from South Nation too, they are quite receptive to changing the maps. If anybody has a concern, they will come out, they will visit either virtual or in person, and if it's not wetland, it's not wetland, they don't want it on the map. So that was the big thing for that day.
Okay, does anybody have questions for Deputy Mayor? I do, but I'll start off. So on the bus, I heard other mayors talking, they have a problem with it. I got a call myself. I know the CAO got a call. So what we thought wasn't a real problem is a big problem now. So we're starting to get the calls. So I know they said they weren't going to give out letters to the landowners because of the cost. But somehow I think we've got to be proactive and somebody's, first of all, who do they phone in South Nation?
We just phoned the office.
That doesn't work because they tried that.
It will direct them. It will direct them. They can either, because it's an automated system, they don't know, they can just stay on and ask for the receptionist. The receptionist will direct them.
Okay, because that came up too.
Yeah.
And
There's a lot of hype on Facebook, the same as the stuff we've had in the township. People are going fear mongering. They don't like, there's a lot of history with South Nation and they don't like South Nation or any of the conservation authorities. But South Nation and Rideau Valley, and Melissa was there, they both assured us they do not want to map anything that's not wet.
okay, that word's not getting out.
And if it's wet, the setback, instead of what we used to be 120 meters, is now only 30 meters, even on provincially significant. And if it's a wetland, you don't want to build in it anyway.
No.
And most of the farmers that, a few have called me, same thing, Doug Cleary called me, all upset. And I said, Doug, were you gonna put in a subdivision? No. Were you gonna put in a house? No. I said, well, it's never gonna affect you.
Okay. But I guess what I'm getting back, it's getting back, here's something they threw out again without getting proper consultation to this lower end of the,
But the reason why, the province gave them 2 months to get this right. That's all.
Yeah.
And every other, there's 36 conservation areas, and South Nation and Rideau Valley, because they have so many wetlands, they only regulated provincially significant. Now they're mandated to regulate all wetlands.
thank you. And I'm picking on you because you just got vice chair of South Nation, so.
And when I explained to Doug, he said, well, then, he says, well, then I have no problem with it. And I said, well, I said, if they don't come out and change the map, then there's a problem. But if they're doing what they said they would do, there should be no problem.
Okay. See ya.
No, certainly I'll echo it. I got a call today as well too, and I think there's just not enough information out there for people. And I think the fact that the meetings, the 3 meetings that they're holding are Finch, Manitic, and Ottawa, there's nothing for around this area for people to ask questions or get clarification is probably a concern as well too. But Certainly I've been reading a little bit today on it, and, certainly if council's open to it, I can certainly have a conversation with Carl and see if we can even make the fire hall available one night where it's available for anybody in this area. We can even have them there for a couple hours where they can meet with people one-on-one if they have specific questions and try and tailor it so that at least residents can get answers that they need.
Yeah, I'm sure Elizabethtown, Gitley, and Edwardsburg Cardinal are all gonna do the same thing too, because.
Yeah.
So, okay.
And what they told us, the other thing that's made it quite, they said, if you are busy, if you're on holidays or whatever, because it's kind of bad timing, if it's a year from now, they will change the map. If it's 2 years from now, they will change the map. Yes, Melissa?
Sorry. You can go.
Okay, yeah, through the worship. So I did receive 3 calls this morning. And I did reach out to South Nation, to provide some more additional information on our website. Unfortunately, I think on the weekend, I saw some social media posts which staff can't respond to. Some misunderstandings that people's properties are being rezoned. This is not rezoning. What it is regulation permitting. So if you're within a certain distance of the wetlands, you may need a permit from the Conservation Authority if you get a building permit. But it's not rezoning the property. It's not about devaluing the property. It's about their regulatory permit system. So I think that's a real misconception out there. People think that their lands are being designated wetlands, and it's not the case. It's about their permitting system. So we did get some contact, and I do have a direct contact at South Nation. They also are doing one-on-one meetings with people, virtual and in person. They're setting up appointments, but certainly we can also, as the CEO indicated, maybe reach out to see if they're willing to do another session at Augusta. But I think a lot of it is just, people just have assumed that we're just making their property wetland, which is not the case. It's all about permitting. And making sure you're not building in a wet area, because obviously there's dangers and stability issues
Yeah,
there,
and I think the issue is if you look online for South Nation, they've got a contact, but it's just an email address of info@whatever, right? Somebody wants to talk to somebody that can actually make the decisions or direct them. I think that's the issue. So, certainly we can monitor the issue over the next couple of days and see if we continue to get calls. But if you've got a direct contact, then I certainly can give that to the gentleman that called me today, and hopefully they get the answers they need. But we can certainly look at doing an open house or making this office available if anybody wants a one-on-one with South Nation or something like that too, so.
Okay, to be fair to you, you did give us a heads up on that.
Oh, yeah. I know. Augusta Township went through it in 2016 when we did our official plan. Then we got wetland designated, and everybody was all up in arms.
Yeah.
So I think it's a land grab.
Okay, is that?
Thank
Okay, recreation, can I go into recreation? Is any, yes.
Your worship and staff, what do they call it, sunscreen was installed in Donville this past week. It looks really good. It looks a lot better than the one that was flopping around in the wind. I'll mention this now. It'll kind of fall into announcements later on in the year, but since we only have a couple meetings, I think we might only have one meeting before this happens. The South Grenville Minor Hockey Association is having a adult mixed ball tournament fundraiser August the 10th at the Donville Ball Diamond. So they're building the teams now. They need 350 per team. They can go to the South Grenville Minor Hockey Association social media to find out more information, but it'll be August 10th at the Donville Ball Diamonds, so it's a fundraiser, so it should be a good event. It's nice to see our local recreation facilities being used to support organizations from other communities, and it's nice to see a community of St. Kathleen. Before the meeting, when I first moved to Donville 11 years ago, they were looking at mothballing that park, so it's nice to see it being used.
Yeah, it's in good shape right now.
Yeah. That's all I got.
Okay, anybody else? Yep.
Yeah, from North Augusta, I went to their last meeting, and it was changed from a Tuesday to a Thursday, and from 7 o'clock to 5 o'clock. So when I got home, I got an email from CEO Shannon on what I could report, but apparently I didn't have that. Anyway, they thought they still had a leak, but it was checked out, but I guess it's not a leak. And they said the water line that was supposed to be fixed hadn't been fixed. And they were concerned about when the grass didn't get cut because it was too wet, and if they could have a contact on who to contact and when they could cut the grass around the schedule of when ball games were.
Anybody else? You got, okay.
I didn't go to the last meeting, Kathleen went for me, but do have an update. So Merck is waiting on Starlink because they want to start doing movies in the park. They're gonna do another chicken dinner, but there's no date at this time. And they're looking to do a murder mystery sometime in November. And when the CCRF grants come out, Merck committed to giving back to the council and the township $20,000.
To
So
the
they,
township.
yeah, so they,
The council
yeah,
doesn't
to
get.
township, the township, so they did cut us a check, so they've gave us $20,000.
Okay, everyone else? Yes.
Well, I forgot to mention one thing. North Augusta did decide on their Labor Day parade, it's gonna be colorful, and it's hippie flower power.
Back in my day, that's all right. Okay, anything else? We'll move on. Okay, that's library board.
And sorry, also Merck is, they're not meeting again until September, they've taken the summer off. So again, I wasn't at the library board meeting, but I do have an update. They had a plant and book sale on May 25th, and they did $1,285. They're going to use some of the funds to purchase phonics and books for kids. The TD Summer Reading Program registration has started with passports to record the book, read stickers and activities online and in person. They're hoping at the end of the TD Summer Reading Program that they're going to have raised reptile there, providing there's no renovations going on in the schoolhouse, depending on the Trillium grant and when all that's going to come into play. And they are also off for the summer, so they'll meet again in September.
Good, okay, anything else? Economic Development and Tourism Committee, they had their meeting. I think I already said that last meeting, but anyway, they're done for the summer, right? So, yeah. PAC, Deputy Mayor Winans.
Yeah, we had a meeting for PAC, and we listened to a presentation from the outfit that we were looking at for doing our official plan. And I think Melissa may have more information on that than I do, if you want her to share it.
There's a later subsequent staff report coming on that.
Good girl, okay. You must remember, Oilers. Okay, Police Services Board, no update on that, but again, we've kind of pushed everything till September on that, so. Administration, Mr. Garrity?
Just one thing for council, so the naming contest that we've been partnering with the Maynard Public School, we have made the selections for each of the divisions. So we are planning on meeting the school and the winners on this Wednesday at 9:20 a.m. at the school. We'll have our grader and our snowplow there as well too. So if any council can make it, that would be great, and we'll hopefully get some pictures and present the winners with the iPads that we purchased as well too. So
Okay, great.
okay,
9:30, is that?
9:20. But if you can be there for 9:30, we'll kind of push it to about 9:30 once the traffic kind of goes away.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Reports, first of all, report 2024-075, report, Parks, Recreation and Facilities Quarterly Report, moved by Deputy Mayor Winans, seconded by Councillor Pate. Be resolved that council receive the Parks, Recreation and Facilities second quarter report for information. Is there any questions, comments? Yes.
It's a good
Councillor Moore.
report, lots of stuff going on, thanks Kathleen.
You're welcome.
Anything else? No? Kathleen, you want to say a few words about the report or anything?
No,
No?
no, I think everything's there, 3 pages.
Yes, it's a good report. Thank you very much for the summarization of this. Okay, all in favor? Carried, thank you. Next, I have report 2024-076, parking on Robert Road. Moved by Councilor Pape, seconded by Deputy Mayor Winans. Be resolved that council approve the request for no parking signs on the west and south side of Robert Road. And, no, this is something new that's come up because of the new facilities over there, the pickleball one especially. We see a lot of cars there on both sides of the road. So I think Public Works is taking a look at it. So, is there any questions, comments on that? Does the Public Works Manager want to say anything on reference that?
It's my report.
Oh, sorry. When it comes to roads, I didn't know.
No, my report.
All right.
Well, with baseball going on and with pickleball, there is a concern with emergency vehicles getting through. And we're having tournaments with pickleball already planned for the summer. So there's a need for the no parking on the west and south side of Robert Road.
Okay. Yeah.
Why couldn't we make some parking south of the pickleball court? That 2-acre field we're not doing anything with.
It's awfully
As long as
wet.
it's not too
Yeah.
wet.
It's very wet. So what we're doing is we're making parking to the west of the Maynard Hall that will accommodate individuals. And then they'll be able to park on the east side of the road. But as it stands currently, that land is too wet for it to be parking on.
Okay, any other questions? Anything out, Kathleen? No? Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next, we have report 2024-078, 401 boundary signage. That sounds so weird, anyway, but that's what it is. Moved by Deputy Mayor Winans, seconded by Councilor Pate. Be resolved, the council for the Township of Augusta award quotation support services relating to Highway 401 boundary signs to Amy Graham and Associates Limited in the amount of $41,770 plus HST, and that further direction be provided to staff upon receiving the RFP submissions for the commitments of the installation works. Comments, questions? I'll just make a note on that. I've been kind of pushing this myself for the last year. Nobody knows where we are, and you've got to start. This is Augusta Township. You drive the 401, and especially now, we're going to make some, major announcements are going to come out. So, although the signs won't be up for those, but hopefully this year. But I think it's really important. You got to sell yourselves if you want to get anywhere. So. It's just like any other business sort of thing. You've got to let everybody know where you are. We've got the second largest chemical industrial park in Ontario. That's important. People need to know that. So anyway, any questions? Yes, Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, so this design we got, is that the only one they've come up with? Or, do we get to see some different ones that we get to have some input on?
So let's see.
So, through you, Mayor, so the current design is the only design that's been approved by MTO. So MTO is the official approver of signs. So certainly if council wanted something different on that sign, it would have to go back to MTO for further approval. And it could be additional costs on top of that. So what I'm looking for right now is, because we're limited within our budget, is to do the field investigation to find out the soil, what kind of foundations will be required there. We'll issue a RFP for the contract work to install the signs. That will come back to council for approval. At that time, then we'll be able to determine kind of what our next steps are. It might not be to the fall, and then if council wants to pre-budget that to get that done in the fall, we can certainly do that. But right now, we're limited in our budget, and I don't want to bring something that's over budget. So the 41,000 that's being approved will all not be spent right now. It's about 25,000, which is in our budget. That will come back then at a future meeting with council for further direction. So this is just to get the ball rolling, because in the past, we used to have cost sharing agreements with the local municipalities. That doesn't exist anymore. So if we want to get signs on the 401, we got to do it ourselves, unfortunately.
Any other questions, comments? Yes.
I just have just one question, and that's, so if and when, I'm hoping it's more of a question of if we get the overpass at Blue Church, are they gonna move one of the signs to the other side of it?
Certainly,
I would think if it's something we should look at, right? Because then the actual exit for Augusta is gonna be around sooner.
absolutely, yeah. I think, in all honesty, if you're looking at the on and off ramp for Blue Church Road, you're probably looking anywhere between the next 5 and 10 years if that
Right.
happens, right?
Yeah.
But certainly right now, it would be based on the location, so just before, when Maitland going east and then kind of just past Moran Lane going west. Those have been approved by MTO. They might be off a little bit just based on the conditions, but doesn't look to be any rock or anything like there, so hopefully it should be relatively easy, but probably with the sign and all the civil work and everything, you're probably looking between $75,000 to $100,000 to put these signs up, which is exactly what MTO told me about a year ago. So it's costly, but once they're up, they're up, right? So.
Any other comments? You're thinking, Councilor Page, so, anything else?
That's it for me, for now, anyway.
Okay, call the question, all in favor? Carried, thank you. Just a sidebar on that. I think we all saw this week where a press release came out in Toronto. Although we couldn't say anything as council, we still can't give a press release, but one came out in Toronto. So I just shake my head. I just don't get it, anyway. All right, next is report 2024-079. Moved by, sorry, did I sign? Yes, all right, no. Moved by Councillor Page, seconded by Deputy Mayor Wine. Now be resolved that council accepts this report for information purposes and that council approved an upset limit of $60,000 to fund the additional civil works at site to ensure compliance and close out the project. And that funds to be allocated from the working reserve. So anyway, before I ask for questions, I'm bringing the same thing I brought up last meeting, this report for information. But we have a resolution on it.
Yeah.
So shouldn't it be, like we talked about this for, you weren't here,
I was not here.
but we're asking you, because the counties, they don't have information. The report is for action.
We can certainly leave that off if that's,
No, I'm just saying, going forward.
Yeah.
What are we gonna do?
So that was my recommendation, so, that first line probably should be gone, so that the direction would be is the 60,000 and the working reserve.
Yeah, I understand that, this,
Yeah.
maybe kind of redo it and,
Yeah.
I know you're overworked, but
I'm
the
not
rest of us can do it right, so.
Everybody's over it.
All right, discussion. Members? Excellent picture, drone picture of the skating rink and the pickleball courts.
That is a nice picture.
All the beautiful pictures.
Does anybody have any, yes, Deputy Mayor?
The only comment I have, and that is, in the future, with any project like this, I think it should run more through the township. We should have more control on this, because we are putting a certain percentage of the money in. And,
Yeah, we're still liable no matter what.
we're still liable, and then some of the mistakes that were made may not have been made. We could have kept control of it.
Yes.
Through you, Mayor. So certainly don't disagree, Deputy Mayor, with that comment, and certainly moving forward, we need to have a stake of the project management when it comes to the projects being done. Number one, to make sure that they're following all the rules and the permitting, but also the accessibility, because at the end of the day, it's our property and we're liable for it. So, these costs that we're looking at is, number one is to make it accessible, that we have a pickleball court and we have a rink, we need to make it accessible to our residents. But also there's still some finishing work that needs to be done with the hydro seeding and all that, and installing a camera, because we've already had one rink board already broken, which is probably $2,000 to fix. It's unfortunate, but we want to make sure that the investment that we have there stays there for a long time, and residents and people in the town can enjoy it. So this is certainly, we're already over budget on the project already, and this is going to increase that deficit already, but unfortunately, these things need to be done and finished so that moving forward, we can make sure that projects are being managed properly, so.
Comments, questions? I'll call the question, all in favor? Carried, thank you. Okay, operations, report 2024-077, moved by Deputy Mayor Winans, seconded by Councillor Pate. Be resolved, the council declares truck number 7 surplus equipment and authorizes the acting public works manager to sell the truck as is conditioned on governmentdeals.com. Comments, questions? I have one.
Where's the picture?
Good picture.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good picture. How old is the truck?
That
That's
truck,
truck number 7, but that doesn't tell me anything.
so it's a 2010 or 11.
Okay.
It's 14, 15 years old.
Just maybe next time we can get a year on.
Yes,
that,
okay.
please.
Yep.
Anyway, good job, Jim.
Add year, now picture.
I'll call the question, all in favor? Carried, thank you. I'll be the talk of the staff meeting this week, won't I?
I'll say in the minutes.
Planning and Building Services, report 2024-070, CBO update report. Moved by Councillor Page, seconded by Deputy Mayor Winans. Be resolved that council received the building department activity report for May 2024 for information. Any questions, comments? I'd just like to see the 130,000 above ground, underground pool though. I didn't think they were that much, but I guess they are. So,
Wow.
okay, it's a good report too, so. I call the question, all in favor? Carried, thank you. Report 2024-074, official planning zoning bylaw request proposal. Moved by Deputy Mayor Winans, seconded by Councillor Pate. Be it resolved, the request for proposal, RFP, related to the township's official plan and zoning bylaw review be awarded to Novatech for a total cost of $114,334.50 plus HST, with any proposed changes in scope and cost implications receiving prior concurrence by council. And as you know, this is one on my wish list from last term and this term, because we were the only municipality that didn't have an official plan update, and it's well over 12 years old, so. Anyway, I'm glad to see it going through, so. Any comments, questions from the members? Yes, Deputy Mayor Winans?
Yeah, well, we kind of looked at this, we were hoping to give you a Christmas present this year, but it's not gonna happen. It might happen next year, but might not for 26. Anyway, we did have 4 different proposals. We had narrowed it down to 2. This one was the most expensive, but when we looked at all the different parameters that they've done local, they've worked with the United Counties, they've done Edinburgh Cardinal, some of the other local ones, and for those reasons, the committee kind of chose this one over any of the other ones to present to council.
Okay, anybody else? I know that our planners say a few words. Anything to add, Melissa?
Oh, no, your worship, PAC did a great job. They did meet twice to just go through the RFPs very thoroughly. And as indicated by the deputy mayor, the one that was selected does have the most robust and public consultation session. So there's going to be lots of opportunities for open houses, public meetings, public input for our residents. So I think the township's interested in what the residents have to say about our official plan and our zoning bylaws. So we're hoping that the project kind of gets underway probably late summer, early fall.
Yeah, and you made a good suggestion. Let's start in September, or October, whatever, but, because nothing's gonna happen over the summer anyway, with vacations and that. The other thing is that they can update their draft too, their work schedule. Yeah, so, yeah, see ya.
The other thing I'll add to, not only did Pat do a great job, but our planner Melissa did a great job as well too, so. As far as budget wise, so in the budget this year, we have $85,000 budgeted for this, but we do have money sitting in the reserves if we need to. We don't anticipate we'll spend the $85,000 all this year, so what we'll probably do is, whatever's remaining will stay in the reserve, and then we'll budget next year in the 2025 budget, the remaining amount, and that will just sit in the reserve and it'll just be offset every year until the project's completed. The nice thing about having the reserves, if there's any additional costs above and beyond this, if you want to have another public meeting or something, we can draw from that reserve. So there's no budget implications at all this year.
Yes, Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, the other thing with Novatech, they had 300 more hours in than the next competitor, and the next one we're doing mostly virtual. Where Novatech, they would do in person, they would come out for community meetings. So I think for the majority of people, that's important. If you have a meeting and it's all virtual, that's kind of hard.
And if I remember correctly, they kept the official plan separate from the zoning bylaw report too.
That's right, yeah, that was the other difference, yeah. So that's why it costs a little more, but it's a better chance of getting the public involved and getting everything explained properly.
So I think what's gonna happen is basically we'll get the planning committee together and council, and we'll get them all for a meeting before we even start off. And this is what we, as a group, wanna do with the township, and with our planner, with our CAO, and, you know, because we gotta tell them what the future, how we see the future, so. Okay. Anything else? I'll call a question. All in favor? Carried. Okay. Do I have any notice of motions? See any? Okay. Bylaws. And the first one is moved by Deputy Mayor Wyman, seconded by Councillor Pape. Be resolved that bylaw number 3723-2024 being a bylaw to amend bylaw 3679-2024 being a bylaw to regulate parking in the township of Augusta be read the first time, second time, and the third time be enacted as read. And, is there any questions, comments on that? That's reference to Robert Rule. Okay, call the question, all in favor? Carried. Okay. Next, bylaw 3724-2024, short-term rental bylaw amendment, moved by Councillor Papes, seconded by Deputy Mayor Winans. Be resolved that bylaw number 3724-2024 being a bylaw to license and regulate short-term dwelling rentals in the township of Augusta be read a first time, second time, third time be enacted as read. And so, discussion, members? Okay, I'm going to turn it over to the CAO.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. So certainly we've been working on amendments to the short-term rental bylaw for some time. Rob spent a lot of time in his department on going through it all, comparing bylaws to other neighboring municipalities. We've also had peer review done by our solicitor, which Rob and I sat in the meeting last week, and Melissa, sorry, and went through it all from a zoning perspective and all that stuff. So what we feel tonight is we feel we have a good bylaw in front of council that is enforceable and also I think is fair from a business perspective when renting short terms, but also to ensure that the neighbors surrounding the short-term rental are protected as well. We've had received feedback from neighbors on Burnside and from Irachi, and certainly a few of the items that have been brought forward as far as fines. We are proposing to make a quick amendment to the bylaw that's in front of you that says each day of which a person contravenes section 4.1, 4.2 of the bylaw shall be deemed to constitute a separate offense under this bylaw, which would mean the fine of $900 a day would be $900 per day that the offense happens. So we'll make that correction. Also, exemption clause. So we looked at it a little differently when we looked at short-term rentals is, when it comes to the concerns, it's more of the short-term rentals where it's non-owner occupied. So where there's no owner at all, owner could be living in Brockville, Prescott, somewhere else, and they're renting out the whole entire resident and using it for whatever event. So we focused on that, and certainly we're not as concerned of a couple who wants to supplement their income and rent out one of their rooms because they're in the house. They're going to monitor to make sure that things don't get loud or damaged or anything like that. So we've got it in there now where it's non-owner occupied, which means, and I know there was a concern from a resident on Burnside about can they get around with it. The issue is they can certainly say that there's a project manager that lives on site or whatever like that. The key word is owner occupied. It needs to be whoever is on title. So unless they want to sell it to somebody else to run it, the fine will go to whoever the owner that's on title moving forward. So there won't be any way around it or anything like that as far as them trying to navigate through it. But certainly we'll monitor it. If we see that's becoming an issue, we certainly can, as all bylaws, they can be amended from time to time. And then the maximum occupancy is 10. When we talked with our lawyer, it's hard to put a limit when it comes to guests, but the key word was that overnight guests is a maximum of 10. If they have 20 guests that come for the day, they have to show us that there's enough parking for those guests. If they can't, then of course they can't comply with the bylaw. So then we would be able to enforce things. So we've got to keep things in a right balance because as our lawyer said, is that if we ever challenge, you need to have at least some reasonable grounds of why you made decisions that you did. So, certainly we'll look for any comments by council. I'll maybe turn it over to Rob, but we certainly do appreciate all the comments from all the residents and all the guidance as well. And certainly we hope that this gives us something that we can really start enforcing and making sure that they're following the rules so that the neighbors around that area can at least enjoy some peace and quiet moving forward as well too. Let Rob add a little bit if he wants to.
Through your worship, I don't have a whole lot to add. I say you did a fantastic job. I just want to add though that the previous bylaw that we had just before we sent it to the lawyer, council didn't see. We just sent it to the lawyer for his opinion. We also sent it to the Superior Court of Justice. That's who we have to send our fines to get them approved, just to see what they would think of it. It was more of a feeling out to find out what they thought about the fines. And they are not against it. Okay, the high fines, the maximum we can fine using Provincial Offences Act tickets is $1,000. So we had put a few at 1,000 and some of that anyway. And this one, you'll see they're all at 900. All right, so we lowered them a little bit, right? Just a little bit. But we will still require, probably from council, some reasons why we want the fine so high. And, of course, we will do our own reasoning because the Superior Court of Justice was not in favor of this. Of the higher fines. So that doesn't mean it can't happen. It does happen in other municipalities, but they've got to make sure they've got, examples. And I've already started getting some examples of other municipalities and what their fine limits are.
Members, questions? All right. I know the CAO and I talked briefly about this too, and I said I said council's been trying to do their best, with what they have, and this is all something new. There's no problems on Prescott or Edwardsburg Cardinal or Elizabethtown, Kedley or Brockville, but it seems to be in our area, and it just seems to be 2 locations. I know there's more than Airbnbs or Verbos or whatever. I know there's more than that along the river there especially, but we only have 2 that seem to be giving us problems all the time. So, one of the things I talked to CEO about was maybe no parking signs in the cul-de-sac. But before I do that, I'd want to talk to the neighbors there because everybody's got to follow the same laws too. So, anyway, there's no questions from members. Procedurally, I don't do this, because I allow the public to make their questions at the end. But seeing we have quite a few people here, I know about short-term rentals. I'm gonna allow a short time if anybody wants to speak on behalf of your group or say something. While council's sitting here, go ahead.
I will keep it short, I know it's over time. We live on Burnside, we're directly affected by short-term rental. So it will come as no surprise, especially to Shannon, that Jack and I looked through it rather thoroughly when we got it. We feel very positive about the amendment. We appreciate that council has taken this seriously. It has a big impact on not just us, but several people that are here tonight. But we just would like to speak in favor. It's more concise. It's easier to understand. We feel it's got some teeth, and we're definitely in support. And thank you for the effort. Looking forward to finding out how quickly it can be enforced and that.
Is, maybe your house too, is Mr. Air here tonight? What do you think about no parking signs?
I don't think that the parking is the issue, because, I mean, they can go by and tell them to move anytime. Really, it's just overflow and noise and consideration, so.
Okay. All right.
I mean, that may differ in other places. I hear there's 50-some cars on the Rocky Drive.
All right, sorry, yeah, Jim, do you want to speak there?
Yeah, I live directly across the street from the castle, or whatever you want to call it there. And these folks live right behind and beside. And there were 61 cars Saturday for the second wedding this week there. Last year we had a 4-day wedding go on where they had 9 tents put together out back. The noise, we had a bachelor party there a couple weekends ago where 2 guys walked around in thongs all weekend. It's just, you know, we moved to Brockville, we moved to a beautiful neighborhood, and it's a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
And nobody that owns the property, and I think everyone knows who owns it, I really don't think they care. They just want to collect, and it's sad. We don't pay light property taxes. We don't live in a light neighborhood. This is not, 61 cars out front.
Yeah, that's.
And on top of it, it's a block. It's 7/10 of a kilometer around. We walk it 5 times a day with our dogs. And these people come up whipping around. It's just, it's terrible.
Mr. Garrity, you want to?
Yeah, just a question.
Yeah.
The cars that were there, was the majority stayed overnight? Or?
No, it was weird, the way that they parked them all in front of the little garage, they blocked off the other lane, and then they went straight up from the one corner around your place. Yeah.
Around half of the circle.
Yeah.
Side.
And then the neat part is, on the next day, when the way the wind blows, I get to pick up all the garbage.
Yeah.
And hear about it. Yeah.
Yeah, Shannon?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the following morning, I'm walking my doggies.
Yeah.
And walking past Donnie's place, and of those number of cars that were there that evening, 6 remained.
Okay.
So they were all visitors.
Yeah.
So that is the concern about visitors versus occupancy.
And then cases of alcohol, full bars, drinking and driving. I called the police 4 times to let them know what was going on. I couldn't get through once. They just left me on hold 4 minutes at a time.
Okay.
So there's that whole issue as well.
I think we can, well, we've done it in the past where we've called the inspector, the Grenville detachment, and kind of gave them a heads up.
I'll talk to the
I think
inspector tomorrow.
when you have 61 cars, I think that's a little much.
Yeah.
So,
I'll reach out to the inspector tomorrow and just give her a heads up about those 2 properties. Maybe they can keep an eye on them as well too.
because we try to make it fair for everybody. When we pass these bylaws, we gotta remember, if somebody has a family reunion or something, once every 10 years or something, we wanna make it fair for people too, so. Okay, is there anything, other comments? We're doing our best up here. All right, I'll call the question. All in favor?
I'm sorry, Your
Sorry.
Worship. So just Can we-
Yes, your bylaw is gonna have to be amended.
Yeah, so as amended, but can we clarify, I'm kind of not understanding what,
You're gonna have to.
just for the resolution, can we kind of?
Yeah. So we're going to amend the penalty provisions. So,
In section 4.1, not the actual chart,
so under section 14, we're gonna add,
14, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you said 4, that's why I was
Yeah,
trying to
sorry.
find it, and I was lost.
yeah, so
Okay.
under section 14, we're gonna add that section 4.1 and 4.2 of this bylaw shall be constitute a separate offense for each day. Oh, yeah.
Right, because I still have to go, we still have to approve it, right?
Section.
14.1 and 14.2, that's what you said. 14.1?
4.1, 4.2.
Under section 14 though, right?
Section 14, but a reference 4.1 and 4.2. And that's 4.1, 4.2 is operating a short-term rental without a license and operating a short-term.
So be it resolved that bylaw number 3724-2024 being a bylaw to license regulate short-term dwelling units rentals in the township of Augusta be read first time, second time, third time, and be enacted as amended to update section 14, reference 4.1 and 4.2.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yep.
Okay, all in favor? Carried. Okay, announcements. Does anybody have any announcements? Yes, Councilor Craven.
Your worship, before we meet again, there's gonna be a monumental event. This is my last council meeting as a 40-year-old, or in my 40s. So actually, the night before our next meeting, I'm throwing a bit of a birthday bash at Spencer City. So anybody who wants to come out, it starts around 4:30, 5 o'clock, which should be wrapped up by about 9. Live music from Josh Norad from New Brunswick's coming up. And gonna just raise some money for the food bank. Anybody wants to donate, can donate. And then I'll be a 50-year-old for our next meeting on the 15th.
Did I hear open bar?
Yeah, my folks are coming up, so you can always twist their arm.
Okay, so that's at,
Spencer City Bar.
is that what it's
July
called?
14th,
Yeah.
yeah.
When's the date?
July 14th.
Okay, anything else?
There. Just for council, there is, South Granville Chamber of Commerce is holding a meet me at the Point, which is the Cardinal Waterfront this Thursday from 5 to 8 p.m. if you want to stop in.
No, it's Thursday.
It's Thursday.
Can't make it. Okay, South Granville District High School has their graduation Wednesday night. I'll be attending that, so we did in previous years. And basically, the counties on July 4th at 10 o'clock, if you want to come to Hall's Apple Orchard, they're doing, that's a kickoff to the, they call it, the exact words is foodie fair, something like that, for the whole region, for the whole county. So anyway, July 4th at 10 o'clock. Also, the Gary Barnes, the grand opening, you think, July 5th?
July 5th is what they're currently doing.
More to follow on that. Also, Open Gardens, Van Berlo Gardens and Mainland Garden of Hope on July 20th, from 10 o'clock to 4 p.m. Those, if you have never seen it, visit those two. It's beautiful, both of them. Also, Art in the Garden Charity Art Show and Sale is in the Maitland Garden of Hope. Is at the Maitland Garden of Hope, July 27th from 10 to 4. Any other announcements? No? Yes.
One very quick one, your worship, I'd just like to say that your Augusta firefighters have Were involved in a competition last weekend in Prescott. There were 15 fire services in the competition, and Augusta did a fantastic job. Our firefighters finished 4th, so big improvement on last year. And, they're looking for top spot next. Next year it's in Marrickville.
Good, thank you. Okay, questions from the press? I don't see any press online. Questions from the public? Anybody have questions from the public? No closed session. And on the bylaw, let's see, what do we got here? Moved by Councillor Page, seconded by Deputy Mayor Winans, be it resolved that bylaw number 3725-2024 to confirm the proceedings of Council of the Township of Augusta at its meeting held on June 24th, 2024, be the first time, second time, third time being enacted as read. All in favor? Carried, thank you. And moved by Councillor Page, seconded by Deputy Mayor Winans, be it resolved that council now adjourn at 7:15 p.m. until July 15th, 2024 at 6 p.m. or the call of mayor subject to need. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Go Oilers. Okay?
You're not kidding.
Thank you for coming, everybody.